What is true inner strength? Inner strength isn't the absence of pain. It's not pretending everything is fine when everything weighs you down. It's mental mastery in the face of adversity. It's acting with courage even when you're afraid, with clarity even in chaos, with integrity even when no one is looking. Have you ever felt strong until an unexpected event, a criticism, or a difficult day shatters your peace? If so, you're not weak. You just need real strength, not based on motivation, but on solid principles. Stoicism, the practical philosophy of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, doesn't teach you to avoid suffering. It teaches you to face it with dignity. To live with purpose, even when the world falls apart. In this video, you'll discover the complete guide to building unshakable inner strength with principles, daily practices, and routines that transform your mind. If you're tired of reacting to the world and finally want to act with courage, with clarity, with serenity, watch until the end. This is the strength no one can take from you. The foundation. Self-knowledge as the basis of strength. True inner strength doesn't begin with discipline, courage, or self-control. It begins with self-knowledge, because you can't govern your life if you don't know yourself. And Stoicism is clear: without self-examination, there is no real evolution. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful emperor in the world, didn't begin his day with strategic plans or ambitious goals. He began with a question: who do I want to be today? He knew that before acting in the world, he needed to understand his mind. And that's exactly where the Stoic path begins, in daily self-knowledge. The Stoic doesn't live on autopilot. He observes himself, he reflects, he questions, because only those who know their judgments, reactions, and values can change with clarity. The central practice is philosophical writing, not as an emotional diary, but as a tool for self. Every day, upon waking or before going to sleep, the Stoic writes not to justify himself, but to know himself. Powerful questions guide this process. What really matters to me? What is within my control? How have I reacted in the face of adversity? Am I acting with justice, courage, and moderation? Where have I gone astray? Where have I been faithful? These questions don't seek perfection, they seek honesty, and it is in this that growth is born. Epictetus taught, it is not things that disturb men but their opinions about things. In other words, your problems are not out there, they are in your interpretation of them, and only those who know themselves can distinguish between emotional reaction and conscious action. You can apply this today. Grab a notebook and, at night, write, what did I do well today? Where could I have acted with more integrity? What have I learned? Don't judge, just observe. See patterns, what destabilizes you, what strengthens you. Seneca did this every day. He said, live as if you were standing before yourself. In other words, don't act to impress. Act so that, when you look back, you can say, I did what was right. This practice isn't self-help, that's self-mastery. It strengthens your conscience, corrects deviations, and accelerates self-improvement, because you don't change what you don't know. And Stoicism begins where it all begins, within you, with a simple but powerful question: who am I? And, more importantly, who do I choose to be? Inner strength isn't something you find, it's something you build with every choice, with every reflection, with every moment you decide to act with clarity, instead of reacting emotionally. And the first step to this is to look within. Without masks. With no excuses. With courage, because only those who know themselves can transform themselves, and only those who transform themselves can be truly strong. 1. Focus on what you control. The most powerful and liberating principle of Stoicism is this: learn to distinguish between what is within your control and what is not. According to Epictetus, one of the pillars of Stoicism, men are disturbed, not by things, but by the opinions they hold about things. And most of our anxiety comes from the fact that we spend energy trying to control what is impossible to control, while neglecting what is truly in our hands, what is not within your control. What people think of you, the results of your actions, the past, the future, the decisions and reactions of others, criticism, rejection, and unexpected events, these are real factors, but they are beyond your direct control. You can influence them, but never fully control them. What is within your control? Your judgments and interpretations, your choices and decisions, your efforts and actions, your response to adversity, the way you choose to live your values. This is where your true power lies. When you internalize this distinction, something profound happens. Your mind calms. Anxiety, it diminishes because you stop fighting reality. Instead of wearing yourself out over what you can't change, you direct your energy toward what you can transform. Your choices and attitudes. You don't need to control the world to act, you just need to act with clarity. And that's where true strength comes from. Focusing on what's yours, and letting go of the rest. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He ruled a collapsing empire, beset by betrayals, but maintained his composure because he knew where his power lay. This clarity is what restores focus. You stop being a drifting boat, pushed by the waves of opinions and results, and become the captain of your own ship. And that's exactly what this principle teaches. Don't get lost in what doesn't depend on you. Focus on what's yours, act with purpose, and let the rest go, because true strength isn't in controlling the world, it's in not letting the world control you. You can apply this today. When receiving criticism, ask, is this within my control? If not, let it go. When planning a project, focus on your effort, not the outcome. When feeling anxious about the future, breathe and say, I can only act now, and that's what I will do. This principle doesn't eliminate challenges, but it does eliminate unnecessary suffering, and this is how you build an unshakable mind with clarity, with courage, with the simple decision. I will act where I can, the rest is not my own. Principle 2. Action greater than motivation. Motivation is volatile. It comes and goes with moods, the weather, a good or bad day. And if you only act when you feel inspired, you'll spend your life putting off what really matters. Stoicism brings a powerful truth: action doesn't follow motivation, it creates it. You don't need to feel ready to begin. You just need to begin. Marcus Aurelius didn't wait to wake up wanting to rule an empire. He did it out of duty, out of commitment to his role. He acted even when tired, even under pressure. And that's precisely what made him unshakable. The Stoics didn't believe in waiting for the right moment. They believed in starting now, with what they have, as they are, because they knew that transformation doesn't begin with a heroic gesture, but with a small, courageous step. You don't need more time, more resources, or more inspiration. You just need 5 minutes, write a sentence, get out of bed, make the difficult call. The important thing is to break inertia, because it's in the first movement that momentum is born. As Seneca said, it's not lack of time, it's lack of will that holds us back. But willpower doesn't arise out of nowhere. It is exercised through action, and that's why the Stoic doesn't ask, do I feel like it? He asks, what needs to be done? And then, he does it. Because he knows, winning quietly doesn't depend on fleeting emotions. It depends on discipline. On action, even when you don't want to. You can apply this today. Don't wait to feel excited to get out of bed. Get up, don't wait for inspiration to write. Write a sentence, don't wait for the right moment to change. Start now, with what you have. Small actions, repeated consistently, build big changes. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be consistent. And that's exactly why action is more reliable than motivation, because it doesn't wait. It transforms, it builds, it changes your life, not with a single leap, but with daily steps taken courageously, even without desire. Because in the end, what changes everything isn't how you feel, it's what you do now, and that's how true inner strength is built. Not with emotions, but with choices. Not with inspiration, but with action. Not with perfection, but with persistence. Because the Stoic doesn't wait to feel strong. He acts as if he were until he becomes so. Principle 3. Discipline is freedom. Most people see discipline as a prison, but Stoicism teaches the opposite. Discipline is freedom, because every habit you fulfill, every difficult choice you make, waking up early, studying, refusing a distraction, speaking the truth, is a step away from the slavery of emotions, procrastination, and reactivity. True freedom isn't doing what you want in the moment, it's doing what you decide, even when you don't want to. Marcus Aurelius didn't rule the empire by inspiration. He did it through routine, duty, and daily action. Like him, you don't need to feel motivated to act, you just need commitment to what matters. Daily discipline creates autonomy. When you train your mind to act with clarity, even when you don't feel like it, you stop relying on motivation, applause, or perfect conditions. You become unshakable, because nothing affects you, but because nothing derails you. And the most powerful thing, great transformation is born from small, repeated actions. Writing a sentence a day becomes a book. Walking 10 minutes becomes health. Studying 20 minutes becomes expertise. All of this is possible with consistency, not perfection. You can apply this today with a simple Stoic routine. Morning, begin with intention. Ask, who do I want to be today? Write a sentence. I will focus on what depends on me during the day. Take reflective pauses. Before a difficult decision, stop for 10 seconds and ask, is this within my control? Evening, review the day. Grab a notebook and answer, what did I do well? Where could I have done better? What can I take with me tomorrow? These habits don't require hours. 5 minutes of writing, a conscious pause, a moment of honesty. These are small but transformative actions. Seneca said, it's not lack of time, it's lack of will that holds us back. But willpower doesn't arise out of nowhere. It is exercised through discipline, and that's precisely why the Stoic doesn't wait for the right moment. He acts out every day, even if it's just a little, because he knows, whoever masters the now masters the future. That is the greatest freedom there is, because freedom isn't the absence of rules, it's living with purpose. It's choosing what matters, every day, without relying on emotions, without falling into autopilot. And that's exactly what discipline builds, not slavery, but autonomy, not rigidity, but strength, and the freedom to live with clarity, with courage, with integrity. Discipline isn't a burden, it's a foundation. It's the habit of choosing who you want to be, not once, but every day. And this is how true inner strength is built, with small actions, done with grandeur, in silence, without applause, without recognition, but with complete fidelity. Because, in the end, the deepest freedom is not doing what you want, it's doing what's right, even when no one is watching. Principle 4. The present is all you have, the past is gone, the future hasn't arrived yet. The only moment you can act, decide, and live is the present, and that's precisely where Stoicism focuses its attention. Living in the present isn't about ignoring planning or learning from the past, it's about not allowing them to steal your energy from the present. Most people suffer in anticipation or dwell on regrets. But the Stoic knows what matters is what you do right now. Marcus Aurelius wrote every morning, "Begin what you want to do now, don't put off living." He didn't wait for the perfect moment. He acted with purpose, here and now, because he knew time doesn't come back. The present is the only place where you have real power. It's where you choose to act calmly, where you decide not to react to provocation, where you take the first step, even when you're afraid. Seneca said, "We don't have a short time, we live a short time." Time is stolen not by a lack of hours but by distraction, anxiety, and autopilot. When you live in the present with intention, every action takes on weight, every choice, meaning. You can apply this today. When you wake up, instead of reaching for your phone, take a deep breath and say, "I am here, now." When a worry about the future arises, ask, "Can I act on this now?" If not, let it go. When regret arises, remember, it's over. Now is my chance to act wisely. Instead of inertially scrolling through your phone, ask, "Is this aligned with who I want to be?" The Stoic doesn't live on autopilot. He practices mindfulness with purpose, living in the now with clarity, without rushing, without distraction, with the awareness that each moment is a miniature life. And that's exactly what this principle teaches. You don't need to change the world to find peace. You just need to return to the only place you can live, here now with intention. Because true power isn't in controlling the future, it's in not letting it control you, and that only happens when you choose, in this moment, to act with courage, with justice, with moderation. You don't need to wait for tomorrow to start living with purpose. Tomorrow may never come, and yesterday is already gone. Only now is real, and it is in the now that the future is built. It is in the now that the power to win without noise is born. With conscious action, without haste, without fuss, without delay. The ideal moment will not come. Tomorrow, it is this one, and it is passing. Seize it. Don't waste it on what doesn't exist, because true inner strength is not in predicting what will come, but in being fully present where you already are. Principle 5. Failure is part of the path. The modern world fears failure. It treats it as a sign of weakness, as proof that you are not good enough. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Failure is not the end, it is part of the path. Marcus Aurelius lost children, faced betrayal, and ruled an empire. Period in collapse, and yet he wrote, "The obstacle to progress becomes the path itself." For him, every difficulty was an opportunity to practice courage, justice, and patience. Failure didn't invalidate his purpose, it tested his commitment to it. The Stoics didn't see failure as defeat, but as information. What went wrong? What can I learn? How can I adjust without giving up? When you change this mindset, fear loses its power. You stop avoiding risks for fear of making mistakes and start acting courageously, because you understand that each mistake is a necessary step. Epictetus, born a slave, said, "The wise man does not lose his way, because he always has a direction. Even if he strays, he knows where he's going." Failure isn't abandoning direction, it's adjusting the course. You can apply this today. If a project is rejected, don't give up, adjust and try again. If you make a mistake, ask, "What can I learn from this?" instead of "Why am I so bad?" If you fail to fulfill a promise, don't punish yourself. Start over now. This mindset isn't about ignorance of suffering, it's about the courage to continue. It's about knowing that true strength isn't in the absence of failure, but in the decision to continue. Seneca wrote, "What stops us is not lack of time, but lack of courage to begin." And it's true. The world isn't for those who never make mistakes, it's for those who act, even when afraid, and continue, even after falling. Because, in the end, the greatest failure isn't falling, it's never having started. And the Stoic knows, every mistake is a stepping stone towards true triumph. You don't have to always get it right, you just have to keep going, learn, and keep going, because in the end, the Stoic isn't the one who never fails, it's the one who never gives up. And that's exactly what this principle teaches. Failure isn't the end, it's preparation. It's a necessary part of the journey, and that's how you build an unshakable life, not with perfection, but with the courage to try, fail, and try again. Failure is only conquered by those who fear it. Those who face it with courage, with clarity, with purpose, are already ahead. And that's how inner strength is strengthened, not in the absence of pain, but in the decision to move forward even when everything weighs down. Even when the world says give up, you respond, I adjust course, but I don't abandon direction, because true triumph isn't never failing, it's never stopping. Principle 6. Criticism doesn't define you. Have you ever felt shaken by criticism? A harsh comment, a rejection, a silence that feels like judgment. Stoicism brings profound liberation. Other people's opinions have no power over you unless you give them that power. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by betrayal and envy, wrote, "What others say about me is none of my business, it's theirs." He didn't ignore criticism, he filtered it with reason. He asked, is it fair? Is it helpful? Is it aligned with the truth? If so, he learned. If not, he let it go. Epictetus taught it is not things that disturb men, but their opinions about things. In other words, it's not criticism that hurts you, it's believing it defines who you are. The Stoic doesn't react with anger, defensiveness, or suffering. He responds calmly, or simply moves on, because he understands that criticism says more about the giver than about himself. You can apply this today. Ask yourself, does this person live by the values I admire? Otherwise, why would your opinion carry weight? If the criticism is fair, thank them and adjust. If it's unfair, let it go. Not out of arrogance, out of peace. Don't defend yourself. Don't justify, just keep going. True strength isn't in pleasing everyone, it's in acting with integrity, even when criticized. And that's how you win, without fuss, without reacting, without justifying, without losing your center, Seneca said. It is unbearable to depend on the judgment of someone who doesn't even respect themselves. Think about it. Why are you handing over your emotional well-being to someone who doesn't even know your story? You don't need applause to know you're on the right path. Just look within and ask, am I being true to my values? If so, criticism doesn't define you, it only reveals who gave it, and that's exactly what this principle teaches. You don't need to prove anything, you just have to be faithful, even in silence, even when no one sees. Because in the end, what matters isn't what people say about you, it's what you know about yourself. And that's where true power lies, in the quiet courage to act with dignity, without depending on the approval of others. The Stoic knows, your peace doesn't depend on applause, it depends on integrity. And no one can take that away from you. Criticism can hurt, but it only has power if you believe it reveals who you are. The Stoic knows that your identity isn't shaped from the outside, it's built from the inside. With every choice made silently, with every action taken courageously, with every day you decides, no matter what they say, I know who I am. And this is how inner strength is built. By not responding to the noise, but by living with such clarity that it doesn't even reach you. You don't defend yourself. You move forward with your head held high. Without reaction, with the quiet certainty that enough is enough. Principle 7. Simplicity brings clarity in today's world. We believe that more is better, more possessions, more options, more connections, more information. But Stoicism brings a liberating truth. True strength lies in simplicity. Living with less isn't poverty, it's clarity. It's eliminating the superfluous so the essential can breathe. When you reduce external noise, inner silence arises. And it is in this that focus, peace, and the ability to act with purpose are born. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, chose to live with moderation. His diary was unadorned. His choice is simple. He knew that the less you depend on external possessions, the freer you are, because nothing can take away what you carry within your mind, your values, your discipline. Seneca, surrounded by wealth, wrote, "The wise man is not he who has much, but he who needs little." He saw simplicity not as a limitation but as strategic. Freedom, the less you need to feel good, the less vulnerable you are to circumstances. Simplicity is power because it reduces distractions and increases focus. It reduces anxiety caused by too many choices. It strengthens gratitude for what you already have. And it frees up mental energy for what really matters. Acting with integrity, caring for your mind, fulfilling your duty. You can apply this today. Simplify your routine. Eliminate tasks that don't add value. Reduce consumption. Stop buying on impulse or validation. Limit distractions. Less social media. Less news. Less noise. Focus on the essentials. Health, family, purpose, action. The Stoic doesn't live to be seen. He lives to be faithful. And the simpler your life, the stronger it becomes. Simplicity isn't a lack of ambition. It's focus with purpose. It's refusing to get lost in details that don't matter. It's knowing that you don't need more to be who you want to be, because power isn't in having it all, it's in knowing that you can live well with much less. And it's this independence that makes you unshakable, free, and truly strong. And that's exactly what this principle teaches. Life isn't about accumulating, it's about choosing the land, letting go of the rest, because it's in the silence of the necessary thought the mind finds clarity, focus, and strength. Live with less. Act with more. And discover that simplicity is not renunciation, it is liberation. True wealth is not what you have, but what you can let go of without losing your peace. And this is how inner strength is built. Not with ostentation, but with presence. Not with noise, but with silent, daily, constant action. Because in the end, what changes your life is not what you acquire, but what you eliminate, so you can live with more purpose, with more peace, with more you. Principle 8. Courage is acting with fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action despite fear. This is the most powerful Stoic definition of courage. Many believe that being courageous is not feeling fear. But the Stoics know, fear is human. What separates the weak from the strong is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Marcus Aurelius ruled a collapsing empire, wars, plagues, betrayals, the death of children. In the midst of it all, he wrote, "Act, even if it seems impossible." He didn't expect to feel courageous. He chose to be courageous every day. His strength came not from the absence of fear, but from clarity of purpose. Epictetus, born a slave with a crippled leg, taught that true courage lies in doing what is right, even when it is difficult. He had no external freedom, but he chose to maintain the freedom of the mind, and that for him was the greatest act of courage. The good news, you don't have to face war or prison to practice this courage. It is built day by day, in seemingly small but profound choices, telling the truth when it would be easier to lie, maintaining discipline when no one is looking, starting a new project even without guarantees of success, remaining calm in the face of unfair criticism. These are courageous actions because they require you to prioritize your values over your emotions. Stoicism doesn't demand perfection, it demands commitment. Every time you act with integrity, even when afraid, you strengthen your courage like a muscle. Seneca said, "What holds us back is not lack of time, but lack of courage to begin." And it's true. The world isn't for those who have less fear, that's for those who act. Even with it, you can develop practical courage today. Start something, what's important. Even if your inner voice says it's not the time, resist the temptation to postpone. Say what you feel, even if you're afraid of the reaction. Accept that discomfort is part of growth, so don't expect to feel invincible. Start where you are, with what you have, with the fear you feel, and with the simple but powerful decision not to let it decide for you, because that's how you build a purposeful life. Not when everything is right, but when you act, even when everything seems wrong. Courage isn't a born trait. It's a daily choice, and this principle teaches you don't have to be free from fear to be free from inaction. Act now, with fear, but act because, in the end, true inner strength is in never feeling afraid. It's about never letting it paralyze you, and that's exactly what Stoicism offers. Not a life without challenges, but the courage to face them with dignity, with clarity, with action. Courage doesn't make you immune to fear, it makes you immune to its control. And that's how you win. Not with bravado, but with silent action, day after day. Even when everything inside you screams to stop, you keep going. Because you chose to be strong, even when you're afraid. Principle 9. Patience is a weapon in today's world. We want everything fast, immediate success, recognition, quick results, but Stoicism offers an inconvenient lesson. True transformation takes time, and patience isn't passivity, it's a silent and powerful weapon. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire at war, faced plague, betrayal, and profound loss. Even so, he remained calm, clear, and committed to the long term. He knew great changes don't that happen in days, but in daily decisions, repeated with discipline. And that's exactly what patience allows. To continue even without seeing the results right away. The Stoics didn't believe in shortcuts, they believed in process. Epictetus taught, don't rush, don't despair, follow the path steadily. He knew that the man who chases the result loses his way, but the man who trusts the process moves forward calmly, unwavering. Patience is strength because it protects you from premature frustration. It allows you to learn from each mistake. It prevents impulsive decisions out of impatience. It strengthens your trust in time. Seneca said, "Nature does nothing in haste. A grain of wheat grows into a head of wheat slowly. Such is greatness. Your growth, your transformation, your legacy, all of this is like a seed, invisible at first, but inevitable over time. You can apply this today. Don't give up on a habit because you don't see results yet. Don't abandon a project because recognition is slow. Don't doubt the path just because progress is slow. Instead of asking, when will this work? Ask, what can I do today to keep going?" Patience is not weakness, it's the courage to trusting your path. Even when the world demands haste, you don't need to see results. Today you just need to act consistently. Write a paragraph, make a difficult choice, maintain discipline when no one is watching. Every action, no matter how small, is a brick in your future, and patience is the cement that holds them together. Because the Stoic doesn't win by explosion, he wins by persistence, not by speed, but by direction. And that's how you build something lasting without rushing, without noise, without giving up. Seneca wrote, "It's not what we have, but what we do with what we have, that defines us." And that's exactly it. You don't need more to get started. You just need to keep going. And that's why patience is a weapon. It doesn't shine in the present, but changes the future. And whoever masters it doesn't need to shout. You just need to keep going. Because in the end, what separates those who change from those who remain isn't talent, nor the right moment. It's the ability to trust the process. Day after day, calmly, courageously, true inner strength is shown in speed, but in constancy. Not in what you achieve, but in what you never stop doing. And that's how you win. Not with haste, but with purpose. Not with noise, but with presence. And with the silent decision, I follow. Even if slowly, even if no one sees, even if it takes time. Principle 10. Loyalty to yourself is the greatest sign of character. The greatest sign of character is not what you do when you're seen, but what you do when no one is looking. In today's world, many adjust their actions to the audience. They say one thing in public, live another in private. But Stoicism demands something rarer and more powerful: loyalty to yourself. Acting with integrity, even without applause, even without witnesses, even when it would be easier to betray your values. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his daily, without expectation of fame, do what is right, not what is expedient. He ruled an empire, but he knew that true victory was internal, being true to your principles, even when tired, even when under pressure, even when ignored. Epictetus said, be what you wish to appear. In other words, don't feign courage, be courageous, don't feign discipline, practice it in silence, don't seek admiration, seek integrity. This loyalty is the foundation of character, because when you act well just because you're observed, your virtue depends on the world. But when you act well even in the dark, your virtue comes from within, and it is unshakable. You demonstrate loyalty to yourself when you keep a promise to yourself, even when you're not obligated. You refuse a distraction, even when no one would notice. You tell the truth, even if a lie would be easier. You keep going, even when no one recognizes your effort. These choices, invisible to others, are what build your inner strength. They prove that you don't live to please you, live to honor who you've chosen to be. Seneca wrote, the wise man needs no witnesses. His conscience is his judge. And that's precisely what makes you immune to judgment, independent of approval, and truly free. Being accountable to yourself is the most powerful act of self-improvement. Not out of pride, but out of integrity. You review the day and ask, what did I do well? Where could I have done better? Am I aligned with who I want to be? This daily practice isn't harsh judgment, it's courageous responsibility. Every time you choose truth over convenience, you strengthen your self-esteem and your emotional peace. Because in the end, what matters isn't what the world thinks of you, it's what you know about yourself. And that's where true power lies. In the quiet courageito, be faithful. Without fuss, without reward, without excuses. Loyalty to yourself is not arrogance, it's dignity. It's the mark of those who succeed not by applause, but by character. And that's how a silent legacy is built. With small actions done with greatness every day in secret, until time says, you were here, and changed everything. True inner strength isn't what you show, it's what you hold on to hand. Everything around you crumbles, and that's exactly what loyalty to yourself builds. An unshakable identity. Not shaped by opinions, but forged by daily choice to be who you've decided to be. Because in the end, no one can take from your heart you choose to bezelantly with courage, without having to prove it. Stoic morning routine. Start the day with power and strength. Isn't built in moments of crisis, it's trained every day, in the silence of the morning. Just as a warrior sharpens his sword before battle, the Stoic prepares his mind before the day begins. Because you can't face chaos with a disorganized mind. The Stoic morning routine isn't about productivity, but about clarity of purpose. It doesn't require free time, long meditation or isolation. It works even with 5 minutes, enough to program your mind for what truly matters. 1. Waking up with intention. 5 to 10 minutes. Don't start the day reacting to your phone, the news, or messages. Start with a powerful question. Who do I want to be today? How do I want to respond to what's difficult? What depends on me? Write a short sentence that serves as an anchor. Today I will focus on what I can control. I will not react. I will respond. I will be firm, but not rigid. This practice, used by Marcus Aurelius, isn't magic, it's mental discipline. It creates an invisible shield against anxiety, reactivity, and autopilot. 2. Adversity meditation. 3 to 5 minutes before leaving your room. Rationally imagine the day's challenges, an unfair criticism, a plan that fails, an unforeseen event that disrupts your rhythm. Then ask, how would a Stoic respond? Not with anger. Calmly. Clearly. With action. This practice, called premeditatio malorum, isn't pessimism, it's emotional preparation. It lessens the impact of the unexpected because you've already faced the worst in your mind. 3. Reflective pauses. Throughout the day, 30 seconds to 2 minutes. You don't need long meditations. Just brief moments of pause are enough to realign yourself. Before a difficult meeting, when you feel frustrated, or when you realize you're scrolling through your phone out of insecurity, stop for 10 seconds and ask, is this within my control? Am I acting based on values or emotions? What would be worthy of a strong character? These pauses are like small adjustments to the ship's rudder. They keep you from drifting off course without realizing it. For practical integration throughout the day, use Stoic phrases as anchors. When facing criticism, criticism doesn't define you. When procrastinating, action comes before motivation. When feeling ego, courage is acting with fear. Repeat it mentally. Write it on a pad. Record it on a sticky note. Repetition turns principles into habits. This morning routine isn't about perfection. It's about preparation. It's about starting the day with clarity, not reactivity. It's about remembering, before the world pulls you out, who you've decided to be inside. And that's how you build an unshakable mind, not with grand gestures, but with small choices, made every day, with purpose. Because the Stoic doesn't wait for the right moment. He creates the right moment with a breath, an intention, and the decision to begin the day not as a reaction, but as an action. And that's exactly what transforms an ordinary day into a step toward true inner strength. Stoic nighttime routine. Close the day wisely. The day doesn't end when you go to bed. It ends when you review, learn, and reconcile with it. The Stoic nighttime routine is one of the most powerful habits for self-improvement. The daily review, practiced by Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. This practice isn't a harsh judgment, but a moment of honesty, learning, and compassion for yourself. Before bed, set aside 5 to 10 minutes away from your cell phone, in silence, with a notebook or a notepad, and answer honestly. 1. What did I do well today? Acknowledge your victories, no matter how small. Did you wake up on time? Did you stay calm during a difficult moment? Did you make a decision aligned with your values? Celebrating progress strengthens self-esteem and reinforces what you want to repeat. 2. Where could I have acted with more integrity? Not to punish yourself, but to improve. Did I react angrily when I could have responded calmly? Did I put off something important out of fear? Did I fail to act due to a lack of courage? This question doesn't seek perfection, it seeks awareness. 3. What did I learn today? Every day is a lesson. Even mistakes teach. Even frustrations reveal patterns. Write down, today I learned that I need to breathe before responding. Or I realized that I demand too much of myself when I'm tired. This habit transforms experiences into wisdom. 4. What will I take with me tomorrow? An adjustment, an intention, a commitment. Tomorrow I will tell the truth with more courage. Tomorrow I will not put off the difficult task. Tomorrow I will remember that what matters is within my control. Seneca practiced this religiously. He said, live as if you were in front of yourself, not to punish yourself but to know yourself, to be accountable not to the world but to your own conscience. This practice accelerates self-improvement because it corrects deviations before they become habits. It strengthens self, it transforms the day into a cycle of continuous learning, and most importantly, it teaches you to forgive yourself with dignity. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be faithful, and each night is a new chance to say, today wasn't perfect, but it was honest, and tomorrow I'll keep trying. Because the Stoic doesn't measure the day by what he failed, but by what he learned. And this is how you build a purposeful life, with conscious actions, honest review, and the courage to begin again every day. This nightly routine isn't a punishment, it's a ritual of healing and strengthening. It's the moment when you end the day not as a victim of circumstances, but as an architect of your own evolution. And that's exactly what transforms inner strength from something fragile into something lasting, not a surge of motivation, but a daily practice of honesty, courage, and growth. Because in the end, you don't become strong by never making mistakes, you become strong by never stopping trying, and that's how you win, not with perfection, but with consistency, not with noise, but with silence, not with applause, but with the silent decision, I'm still on the path. Premeditatio malorum, how to anticipate the worst to lose. For at the heart of Stoicism lies a powerful, counterintuitive, yet profoundly liberating practice. Premeditatio malorum, the rational anticipation of the worst. It's not pessimism, it's not giving in to fear. It's the opposite. It's looking squarely at what you fear most, with clarity, and saying, what if it happens? What would I do? The Stoics knew that fear doesn't come from what might happen, it comes from our reaction to it. And the greatest source of anxiety is the unknown. When you imagine the worst without reflection, your mind amplifies it, but when you face it with reason, it loses its power to paralyze you. Marcus Aurelius, amidst wars and disease, wrote, in the morning, remember, today I may face betrayal, ingratitude, aggression, and yet, I will choose to act justly. He didn't run from fear, he prepared for it. That this practice works because it disarms the emotional impact. When you imagine clearly, what if I'm rejected? What if my project fails? What if I lose my job? And respond calmly. If I'm rejected, I learn and move on. If I fail, I adjust and try again. If I lose my job, I reinvent myself. You discover you would survive, and what's more, you already have a plan. It's like training for a storm before it arrives. You don't avoid the rain, but you stop being surprised by it. Epictetus said, the wise man does not wait for ideal conditions, he prepares for the real ones. And that's exactly what premeditatio malorum does. It transforms fear into preparation, anxiety into clarity, and paralysis into conscious action. You can apply this today before an important decision. Ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? Can I bear it? What would I do if it happened? By responding calmly, you don't eliminate the risk, but you eliminate the suffering in advance, because true power isn't in controlling the future, it's in not letting it control you, and that's how you become immune to fear. Seneca wrote, "He who has anticipated all misfortunes has already suffered everything. The rest is easy." Because when the worst has already been imagined, nothing takes you by surprise, and you can move forward with courage, knowing that, no matter what comes, you are already prepared. Premeditatio malorum isn't about fearing the future, it's about mastering it with your mind before it arrives with the world. You don't need to be certain of the outcome, you just need to be certain of your response. And that's exactly what strengthens inner strength, not the absence of fear, but the presence of courage. Not the guarantee of success, but the willingness to face failure, because in the end, those who practice premeditatio malorum aren't the most optimistic. They're the most prepared, the most serene, the freest. And this is how the Stoic lives, not fearing the worst, but facing it in advance so that, when the day comes, they've already won. The power of elegant indifference in today's world. We're trained to react to everything, a criticism, an absent comment, a comparison on social media. But Stoicism teaches a quiet strength, elegant indifference, not as contempt, but as dignity in action. Indifference in the Stoic sense isn't coldness or arrogance, it's emotional freedom. It's knowing that not every voice deserves to reside in your mind. It's choosing not to enter into chaos, even when it's provoked. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by betrayal and envy, wrote, "What doesn't make us better shouldn't move us." If criticism doesn't contribute to your justice, courage, or integrity, why give it power? Epictetus said, "If someone says you're wicked, that doesn't make you wicked, it makes you wicked." In other words, the judgment belongs to the one who issues it. You just need to decide whether to bear it. Elegant indifference is practical. You hear unfair criticism and don't respond with another. Someone tries to provoke you and you calmly change the subject. You don't receive the recognition you expected and you keep moving forward. It's not escape. It's emotional discipline. It's understanding that your peace is more important than the need to be right. It's not harsh, it's serene. It doesn't ignore the world, but chooses not to be dominated by it. It's the silence of the warrior who doesn't need to prove his strength. You can apply this today. When you receive a harsh comment, take a deep breath and move on. When you're ignored, don't panic. Continue with your mission. When you see someone showing off to get attention, remember, my worth doesn't depend on this. Seneca wrote, "The wise man doesn't defend himself, he is unassailable." Because those who act with integrity, even in silence, don't give power to attack. Elegant indifference isn't ignoring everything, it's filtering with reason. Ask, does this person live by the values I admire? Do they have the moral authority to judge me? Will this matter a year from now? If the answer is no, let it go. Not out of arrogance, out of peace. Because true power isn't in pleasing everyone, it's in acting, even when they're critical. And that's how you win without noise, by not responding to the noise, but by living with such clarity that it doesn't even reach you. And that's exactly what this principle teaches. You don't need to prove you're strong, you just need to know you are and move on without reaction, without justification, with dignity, because those who truly have power and shout they remain silent and continue. Elegant indifference is not weakness, it's the courage to not enter the arena when the fight isn't worth it. It's choosing what matters. It's protecting your energy. It's living with purpose, without losing yourself in the judgments of others. And that's how true inner strength is built. Not responding, but moving forward. Not defending yourself, but being faithful. Not reacting, but choosing calmly, clearly, peacefully. Because in the end, the greatest victory is not convincing the world. It's not needing to. Strength lies in silence. Winning without noise is true. Strength doesn't shout, it doesn't announce itself, it doesn't seek applause. It acts silently, clearly, with dignity. And that's exactly what Stoicism calls winning without noise. In today's world, we value noise. The post, the public declaration, the heated defense, the immediate reaction. But the Stoic knows, those who need to prove that strong are still weak. True strength doesn't justify itself, it simply is. Marcus Aurelius didn't write meditations to be read. He wrote for himself as a daily commitment to justice, courage, and moderation. His diary was simple, without rhetoric, without an audience, and yet it has spanned millennia. Because what is done in silence, with integrity, carries eternal weight. The Stoic doesn't need to prove they're right. He acts based on principles, not opinions. He keeps promises, maintains discipline, speaks the truth even when no one sees. And therein lies his power, in discreet action, in silent fidelity, in courage that needs no witnesses. You can apply this today. Don't justify your choices to those who don't live by your values. Don't respond to every criticism. Move forward. Continue your path even when ignored. Work in silence. Build in secret, because what is born in silence, is stronger than what is born in noise, Seneca said. The wise man does not defend himself. He is unassailable, because those who act with integrity, even in silence, do not give power to attack. They simply don't play the game. Strength lies in silence because it eliminates the need for validation. It strengthens emotional self-sufficiency. It allows you to move forward without being sidetracked by judgment. It transforms every action into an act of character, not appearance. And that's exactly what makes you unshakable. You don't need to convince anyone, you just need to know, deep down, that you acted with clarity, that you did what was right, that you followed through, even when everything felt heavy, because, in the end, the legacy isn't what you said, but what you did silently with courage, without needing to prove it. And that's how true inner strength is built, not with words, but with actions, not with defenses, but with presence, not with reactions, but with purpose. Strength lies in silence best. That's where real power is born, not from approval, but from fidelity, not from recognition, but from integrity. And that's exactly what Stoicism teaches. You don't need to be seen to be strong. You just need to be faithful, without noise, without excuses, with the quiet courage. Live as you believe, every day. Start today, with what you have. You've just discovered the principles and practices of Stoicism for building true inner strength, focusing on what you control, acting courageously, living in the present, reviewing the day, anticipating the worst, and moving forward with discipline, even without motivation. But none of these principles change your life simply by knowing them. They only work when put into practice. True strength isn't a talent, it's a choice, and it's built through daily actions, not grand gestures. Choose a practice, just one: morning intention, nightly review, action despite fear, or simply letting go of what doesn't matter, and start today. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't demand perfection from yourself. Just start. Small choices, repeated consistently, build a strong mind, an unshakable character, and a life of purpose. If this content resonated with you, like it, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel for more videos on inner strength, mental clarity, living wisely, because the path to true strength is to begin with a new year. It begins with one step, right now, with what you have, where you are, with courage.